Morning, folks. So the last video I did was regarding is World of Warships dying? And we looked at some statistics and obviously saw that it's actually fairly stable. Now, one of the other complaints that we're on address today, and again, look at some statistics because the numbers tell you a story, is simply why are teams so bad? And it's a complaint that I hear from my clan mates. It's a complaint I hear from the chat when I'm playing. It's a complaint I hear from fellow streamers. And I take some, so let's dive into it. And a perfect example this week was Thursday night when I was streaming. I was in my Julio Cesar, 178,000 damage in a tier 5 match. And I mean in a tier 10 match, 178,000 damage is considered pulling your weight. This was tier 5. 4 kills, could not pull the win out. We still lost. And that was hell of a frustrating. So let's look at some sites and let's look at some figures. So the first site, obviously, I want to go and look at as was stats and numbers, and there you can see your own stats, etc. And you can look me up. I'm on NA server and I'm a 51% scrub. Over the last sort of 6 to 9 months, I've actually spent and did a lot of effort to get up. I was at what, 48%, and then I've slowly actually paid attention to it. I made a relatively strict rule with myself. 3 losses in a row, I quit. I quit for an hour, I go for a walk, I make coffee, play something else, and I come back. Now, anybody that's got 48 to 49% win rate and are a bit defensive will immediately tell you, yeah, but look at my PR, and that's personal rating. And we can read about the personal rating here. Personal rating is nothing but a calculation. But the problem with personal rating is the elements in order of importance. And it's stated right here. Damage dealt, then warships killed, then the win rate. So you could be playing a Conqueror like before the Thunderer was released, and then HE farmed and got 200,000 damage every match before the Deadeye meta. And you'd have a brilliant PR, but you're dog shit because your team still lost because you didn't push the caps, you didn't know how to play any other ships, etc. So, and that's why sometimes you look up in destroyers and you see the guys that destroyer main, his PR is terrible because he does very low damage, gets almost no kills because he's constantly hiding, contesting the caps, doing what DDs are supposed to do, helping the team win. And his win rate might be high, but his PR is low. So PR is one calculation. So looked around and I thought, what's the average win rate? What is the average win rate for the World of Warships community? And this site popped up. So it's basically called Maple Syrup. I've enlarged it a little bit to avoid my camera. And what it does is it shows you on the different servers the accounts of so many over 100 battles, and then there's 17,500 hidden. So you can hide your account, and then obviously via APIs or however they do it, they can't pull the statistics. Now this data was updated on the 20th of February, so it's relatively fresh, 7 days old. And this is Asia. Asia has an average win rate of 48%. Literally 48% of all players have a win rate of 48%. So that is the average. So, yeah. What I do like about the stats is it shows you players 100 battles, 500,000, 2,000, 5,000, and 10,000. Now I'm at about 8,000, so I'm going to put myself here by the 10,000s. And then we see, let's look, 60% win rate when you start turning purple. And people actually think you're a unicum. 92 players in the 10,000 battles have 60% win rate. At the 5,000, 241. These super interesting stats is down here, where you can see 47, 46% at 1,000 battles, 2,000 battles. Then it tapers off heavily. And that's indicative of one thing. People are not staying around. They play for a month or two and they get bored with the game. So, and this ties in with what we discussed last time, that the game isn't growing. The players that are playing, new players come in and they leave. Because there's no shiny, there's too much competition, whatever the reason might be. And we'll quickly look at some of the other servers. So as I scroll down, NA server where I play, and yes, I know it's very odd. I'm in South Africa and people ask me, why don't you play in Europe? And that's a long, convoluted story. Around about 2012 when I started playing World of Tanks, that was 9 years ago. Our undersea cables, I think we had basically 2 cables, and I'll pull up the undersea cable map quickly. So we had basically 2 undersea cable images. And this is a broadband. There we go. So we basically had 2 cables, and you see that one pink one running out there. Used to go to Atlanta, and no, go back. All right, let's just go by the article. So that one used to go to Atlanta, and the same cable then obviously ran to the Middle East, and then we had one other cable. So a couple of new cables got pulled, including one that ran up the coast and one that ran through the Red Sea over there, Seacom cable. And because it routed through Atlanta and then London, etc., ping actually to Europe was longer than it was to the States. So my Warships, my world of wargaming, let's call it my wargaming account, has always been North America. Then, as obviously technology progresses over the last, let's call it just under a decade, a lot more cables got pulled in, fiber connectivity got better, upgraded at home from ADSL to fiber. I mean, I can still remember 4 megs ADSL being phenomenal. Now I'm on 100 megs fiber and it's slow. Our ISP just announced they're going to upgrade us to 200 meg fiber for free for the same cost. You know, and you'll think, but why does a third world country like Africa have so much fiber connectivity? It's not because they wanted to give us high-speed internet. It's because the copper cables get stolen for the metal content. Go read it up. So that's why I'm on NA. Just thought I'd throw that in. So back to it. Back to the stats. What is the average win rate on the NA server? 48%. And here it is, 49.8% of the population have a 48% win rate. So pretty much entire half of the server, of all the accounts ever created and have played over X amount of battles, has a 48% win rate. That means less than half of the population wouldn't pass a university with a 50% pass mark. And the numbers look very much the same. You'll see at 500 battles, there's a lot of players, 8,000, 8,000, 8,000 at 46, 6,000, 6,000 at 1,000. At 2,000 battles, they just start dropping down to 4,000. At 5,000 battles, they start dropping down. I'm a 51% win rate player and I'm putting myself in the 10,000 because I've got 8,000 and something battles. There's 383 of us. There's 383 of us with 10,000 battles with a 51% win rate on the entire NA server. Looking at the Unicums and Askans, one of my ultimate favorite streamers, brilliant guy, really go and follow him. He's a Unicum with a 60% win rate. Don't know his amount of games, but if he's got 10,000 games, no doubt he has that. But if you're a Unicum with 10,000 games and you still have a 60% win rate, that makes you one of 72 on the NA server. And we looked at the average player base in the last video, and then there's concurrently 11,500 players on NA. And there's only 72 players that have played 10,000 battles or more with a 60% win rate. The 007 guy, John the Ruthless, I think he's in there. That's it. How does it compare to Europe? EU server, over 1 million, just over 1 million accounts of 5.7 million battles. People with over 100 battles, so they've stuck around for a bit. They went past the training videos. 28,000 hidden accounts. They've got a 48% win rate. And that's 49.5% of the population there. And again, 100, 500 to 1,000 battles, 10 to 11,000 people stay. to 2,000, it's then 9,000. And then when you get to the 5,000 battles, it drops off significantly over only 3,000. So between 2,000 and 5,000 battles, and I really don't know how many months it takes to do that. Somebody calculate that for me. I do roughly 100 to 150 battles a month. So this is a significant investment. People that have been around a little bit. 10,000 battles, 755. Let's look at that same number. Obviously, the EU population we saw the last time was in the 30,000s per evening, versus 11,000 for Asia and North America. 60% win rate at 10,000 battles. There's literally only 180 players versus 72 in NA. And if you take that 72 and times it by 3, it's 210, 180. So the aggregate, the numbers don't lie. It's the same percentage, plus minus a bit. I mean, it's a count of 30 difference there, if you understand the math I'm doing. So, yeah, looking at that, 48% win rate is the average on EU, and that's 49.5% of the population. Lastly, the RU server, 1.1 million accounts, 6 million battles played, and let's have a look. So 51.5% of the population, even more, of the RU server has a 48% win rate. So more than half of the Russian server population has less than 50% win rate. How is that possible? So their numbers look a little bit more impressive. And I mean, if you look at 100, 500,000, 2,000, and then from 2,000 to 5,000 battles, their numbers drop significantly. 10,000 odd people at 49 and 48%, and then drops to 4,000. And those numbers says to me people stop playing the game. I've taken significant big breaks from World of Warships, and that's why I don't have the Missouri and Musashi. Because I got fed up with how certain developments were, and then I played stuff like the Division. I've got 2,500 hours into the Division, other games, Apex Legends, that sort of thing, and then then you come back to the game and you see, is it enjoyable, isn't it enjoyable? All right, so 51.5% of the Russian server has a 48% win rate. So now next time you ask yourself, how are the players so shit? Just remember, most of the servers are 48%ers. And if you're like me, you're at your 5,000 to 10,000 battle mark, and you're a bit of a veteran in this game, a lot of these people have only played 2,000 battles. They've literally gotten to tier 10, started realizing what's happening. They don't know the angles, they don't know things, and I think Deadeye has exasperated this by putting Thunderers, and what they do is they look at common configurations. They'll go to somebody on the thing and they'll say, all right, what's the configuration? Take Deadeye, stay at 20 kilometers, fire. They can't think differently. They haven't experimented enough in the game. So yeah, I just wanted to put it out there. The full site, maplesyrup.sweet.cookan.jp, WoWs rankings. Go and have a look at it for yourself. Don't be too upset. The player base doesn't know better. There are streamers, etc., that try and help. Wookie Legend, for example, he does some educational streams. But looking at these numbers, the numbers don't lie. The player base are at the 2,000 battles, they don't know what's going on, to 5,000 battles, they drop off significantly, and the people that have been around a long time and know how to play the game, unfortunately struggle with the inexperience of these players, and it is what it is. They just do not have the experience, and there's very little we can do to change that. So I thought I'd do this quick video on these stats. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll speak soon. Take care, everybody. Cheers.